First of all, sorry for the first clip being dark. I'm actually going to go ahead and pretend like this is not going to be the first clip, but to keep it real, it is the first clip. So I'm going to send you to a time when I look more put together, and we'll do the intro and my TBR. Oh, babe, did you say put together? It has been a vegetation weekend, but I will give you my TBR and what prompts they fulfill for each one. So my first book that I chose was Carmilla. Everybody was reading this. I want to know what it's about. I read Hungerstone, and Hungerstone is like loosely based on this, so I wanted to see what it was like. So I have added this one to my TBR to fulfill the prompt of read a book in the dark or at night. My plan is to do both. The second prompt is read a horror or a thriller. I believe that I've chosen this one for that. We're not going to talk about the fact that it's already started. This is the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. This fulfills the prompt of read a horror or a thriller. My experience with Grady Hendrix is kind of a mixed bag. I really loved Wayward Girls, and I did not really care for How to Sell a Haunted House. So we'll see how this one goes. So far it's going okay, but we're going to pretend like we don't know that yet, because this is supposed to be the starting clip, not a clip that was taken 3 days later. Okay. Read a book with red on the cover. I have decided that Rachel Harrison's So Thirsty fits this prompt. Are you kind of seeing the theme here? Are you seeing the theme? They said vampires. I said okay. So Thirsty by Rachel Harrison. I actually don't know what this is about, but I've enjoyed most of the Rachel Harrison that I've picked up. I didn't necessarily like one of the short stories that I read from her from, I can't remember what anthology, but it wasn't my favorite. But the 3 books, Play Nice, Cackle, and Such Sharp Teeth, I did enjoy. So Thirsty, hopefully I will like that. And that fits for the a book with red on the cover, but it's also blood, so it fits for the little blood on the cover. And then the next prompt is to read a book with vampires or werewolves, witches, etc. And I have chosen Nestlings by Nat Cassidy. When the Wolf Comes Home was my very favorite book of 2025, so I'm excited to get another Nat Cassidy. This was actually a gift from my Secret Santa. I was a recipient of this for the Secret Santa thing. It's just under 300 pages. I wanted to read it this weekend. We'll see how that went. And the final book that I've chosen is Read a 2025 Release You Never Got Around To. This is Buffalo Hunter Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. I don't know very much about this, but I recently was treated to a podcast that he had done where he talked about how when he's sort of not feeling the book that he's currently writing, he goes back to 1912 and writes about some Blackfeet, Indian, Native American type stories. Like that's kind of his comfort area. So I'm excited to pick this up. This will be my first full-length novel by Stephen Graham Jones. I've read a few short stories by him, but I didn't like them at all, like 0 of them. So I'm hopeful that I will like the longer work in the same way that I liked Rachel Harrison's longer form work. So that is the plan. That's the TBR. That's what they fit for. Now that we've got that stuff out of the way, first of all, happy Winterween. I am picking up Carmilla right now. It is my Read in the Dark book. Read in the Dark or at night. It's 156 pages. It's almost 9 o'clock at night. Listen, it was Friday. I had to work. I don't know, but this is not technically the first book that I have started, because I've actually already picked up the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I've already picked this up. I've started it. I'm not very far into it. God, I didn't realize it was this thick. I actually started listening on audio today at work, so despite this being the first clip that I'm filming for Winterween, it is not the first time I'm participating in Winterween, so that's good. Anyway, this is actually really thick. Can I say something crazy? So I read Grady Hendrix' Witchcraft for Wayward Girls last year, and it was one of my top books of the entire year. Like I think it was like 3 or 4 out of 10, so it was like really highly rated. And then I had also read at the same time, or not the same time, but like in the same time period, I read what's it called? what was it called? Hold on, I don't want to hold this anymore. My arms hurt from the gym. I had read, what's it called? Oh, the How to Sell a Haunted House. And I listened to it on graphic audio. And can I say something? For these books specifically, graphic audio, a movie in your mind, kind of cheapens it for me. Like, it makes it feel like it's a joke. And so I'm not sure I'm loving this on audio, but continue I shall, because I don't think that I can physically read 5 books this week. This one's free on Hoopla. So this is the one I chose for my audiobook. And so far, I think we've met the vampire. So that's interesting. So we've got 1 vampire down, 5 to go. There it is. Okay, starting this. Happy Winterween Day 2. I am actually in the middle of filming multiple videos right now, so it is going to be very interesting when I have to import all this and sort it out. But Winterween Day 2 started with, I went to the gym and I did arm workouts. I focused on my arms today, my upper body, my back, my chest, my shoulders, arms. Listen, we hurting, okay? And I am interested to see how, because when I left, like, my arms felt like jello. So I'm interested to see exactly how this is going to affect my ability to read. Now, I know that I have at least 1 audiobook planned. I was thinking about adding potentially a second. I know I want to read at least Nestlings physically. I'm also reading Carmela physically. Granted, I got like freaking 3 pages in last night before the yield English of it all kind of messed with me. I know that, listen, I know we're supposed to read classics, and I know the classics are good for us, and I know that yada yada yada, but there is something about reading a classic versus listening to a classic, that or watching the classic adaptation. And again, I know that classics are good for us, because if we're only taking modern literature, you know, I'm not saying that modern literature doesn't have anything poignant and important to say. I'm just saying that classic literature is, you know, it's a classic for a reason. There's a reason that it is held up this long. There's a reason that it is beloved. But this is like, I don't do well with classics. I don't do well reading literature from before the 70s. And maybe I could go even further back, because I think I've read some books from like the 60s, but just generally speaking, the way that things are phrased are significantly more dense. It takes a little bit longer to get to the point in a classic book than modern literature. And that is always something that I struggle with, like not to like compare Stephen King to a classic book, but King is someone I struggle with as well, because his writing is very dense, and the denser the writing, the denser the structure of the sentence, the denser the paragraph, the denser the chapter, the longer it feels like it takes me to get through it. Like, I can read like 100 pages in like an hour and 15 normally, and then I can read a little faster on my Kindle and on my phone, and obviously I can read hella fast via audiobook, because I can understand it. I can understand 3 times, sometimes even 3.5 times speed, so depending on how the natural cadence of the narrator is speaking. But with classics, I feel like I am having to take 2 to 3 times as long. Now, this is a 156-page book, and I was like, oh, no problem, I can kill that in 2 days, like, it's gonna be fine. Like, you know, an hour last night and an hour today. I was accounting for the fact that it was denser, and I just don't see how I can make that 2-hour thing happen. Now, I did start it last night, and I will try and finish it tonight. However, my main priority this weekend is Nestlings, because it is a book that I received for Secret Santa at my job, and it's also a book that I've been looking forward to since it was announced. I just never got around and it's only made me want to go back and read Nestlings just that much more. So I will be picking that up today once I return from where I am going. And I can't tell you where I'm going because it'll spoil another video. Anyways, I am on my way to a place, and you will find out about it in another video. Okay, I will come back when I have done some more Winterween activities. Actually, LOL, one more thing. I believe I already updated you that while I was at the gym, I was listening to, or maybe I didn't. I might not have updated you. I might have thought I did because my kid was in the car. But at the gym, I listened to more of Vampire Slayer's Guide to Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. Again, I feel very similarly about the fact that it is a graphic audio. I don't know what it is, but the production quality, the steps, like that for me cheapens a horror. And I normally like the graphic audio, a movie in your mind, but this is just not, it's not working for me. But I also know that I don't have time to read all of the books physically this week. There's just no way. So I did have to pick something to listen to on audio. And I've read 3 Grady Hendrix at this point now. If I finish this one, I've read 3 Grady Hendrix by audio. And I wonder if they did Witchcraft for Wayward Girls on graphic audio, because I think that might be crazy. I listened to the regular version. I like the regular version. But anyways, that is my update for Winterween. Now for real, I will update you when I do more things. Okay, cool. So a couple updates. I am in my bed. Oh, it feels so good to be in my bed. I think I woke up at like 6. I slept very poorly last night, so I'm so grateful to be in my bed and my reading pillow that's really just kind of like a napping pillow, I've got to be honest. But a couple updates. I had complained about the yield English of it all with Carmilla, and I actually found an Audible original that's like a production. So I'm excited because now I don't have to read it with my eyeballs. I can read it with my ear holes while following along. And as you may have guessed, in the dark, still this book works for this prompt. And next for updates, I did not start that, but next for updates, this one. I'm having a much better time. We got to like the big sort of crescendo of the book, so I had to force myself to stop. I can't lie. I am on page 306. This is going significantly better than the damn puppet How to Sell a Haunted House, and it's also going better than like the first 100 or so pages. I actually ended up listening to it pretty much off and on all day, but most recently I was working on my reading tracking journal, and I was almost done with it, and so I picked the book up to try and find the spot in which I am so I could bookmark it and show like a physical, this is where I'm at for you. And then I just started turning the pages along with it, and it was the perfect spot too, because it was like the crescendo of the action. It was just the rise of the climax, and it was just, that was fun. So I'm glad that I did that. I might continue, because I found late last year that I really love when I can turn my brain off, when I don't have to read the words, but I can like follow along and read the words with my eyes, but really I don't have to, I don't know. When I want to read a book while I'm listening to an audiobook, it's like a step above. For me personally, I have levels to my laziness, okay? So reading a book with only my ears is my supreme level of lazy, or I'm being so incredibly productive, like I'm cleaning my house, I'm, whatever I'm doing, one or the other. Either I'm so lazy or I'm so productive, and then reading it while listening to it is like one step below the like lazy, and then supreme like not lazy is reading it with my eyes. Does that make sense? Does anybody else have categories for this? Let me know in the comments down below. But I digress. I am going to go ahead and hop into Carmilla because my goal is to finish this today, because my goal for the day was actually to read, what's the other one? Nestlings. I wanted to read Nestlings really badly, but that has not happened. I did have like plans today, so I can't be too mad at myself, and it looks like it's just under 300 pages, so maybe it's possible that I can knock this one out tomorrow. And I would like to knock this one out tomorrow, and then for 3 days I will have read 3 books, which is perfect because we're getting ready to start the week, and I know for a fact I am not going to be nearly as reading productive throughout my work week, which is why I didn't hardly read anything yesterday.
I have got into one of my moping moods tonight, said my father after a silence, and quoting Shakespeare, whom by way of keeping up our English he used to read aloud, he said, "In truth, I know not why I am so sad. It wearies me. You say it wearies you, but how I got it, came by it. I forget the rest. But I feel as if some great misfortune were hanging over us. I suppose the poor general's afflicted letter has had something to do with it." At this moment, the unwonted sound of carriage wheels and many hoofs upon the road arrested our attention. They seemed to be approaching from the high ground overlooking the bridge, and very soon the equipage emerged from that point. 2 horsemen first crossed the bridge, then came a carriage drawn by 4 horses, and 2 men rode behind. It seemed to be the traveling carriage of a person of rank.
I have finished Carmilla, and I'm glad it's over. I can see why it's beloved, but it's not beloved by me, and that's because I don't like this type of literature. I don't like stories that sound like this, listen, I am not a classic girly. I do deeply apologize for this, but I am not, classics aren't for me, and they don't have to be. I just haven't found the classic that makes my heart sing. But I finished Carmilla. So to recap, for the sake of recapping, I have about like 150 pages left, or like an hour and 20 minutes left of Southern Vampire's Guide to Southern Book Club. Yes, that one. And I have finished this one. So with that being said, days 1 and 2 of Winterween are complete. And with that, I will see you, well, in this vlog, no more. But in day 3, 4, and beyond, I will see you then.